Good evening. We are picking up right where we left off last time. We have remembered that, of course, the most important thing to us is Namine. And we've been given a singular card, so... Twilight Town it is. Isn't this where Kingdom Hearts 2 starts? I want to say that it is. Gorsh, where are we, Sora? Huh. I don't know. I've never been here. Me neither. But that can't be right. Up until now, we've only been to places in Sora's memory. Maybe so, but I definitely don't remember this. Maybe you forgot this town just like the other stuff. This is terrible. Our memories are practically gone. We'll be okay. See? Look at this. Namine's good luck charm. There's a special memory that goes with this. One night, when Namine and I were little, there was this meteor shower. Namine started crying. She said, what if a shooting star hits the islands? So I said, if a shooting star comes this way, I'll hit it right back into outer space. I was swinging this toy sword around the whole time. Namine just smiled and said thanks, and then she gave me this. Sora, I'm so sorry. All this because of me. Namine said that she had it ever since she was a baby. And she gave it to you? Wow. Yeah, so I promised her. From now on, I'll bring you good luck. I'll keep you safe. I really let her down. And technically, Twilight Town was the first level I ever played in a Kingdom Hearts game. As Kingdom Hearts 2 was on a display. I got the wrong deck equipped. Yeah, I'm in danger. I should go. Kingdom Hearts 2 was on a display at a future shop. Which is sort of like... what's it called? Oh yes, Best Buy. Kind of like Canadian Best Buy. And I was a kid at the time, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting, and so I played it. And it was literally just Kingdom Hearts 2, not even like a demo. It was just Kingdom Hearts 2. Oh, a key to rewards. Seems to be a fairly common drop, all things considered. You know, I played like an hour of Kingdom Hearts 2 under those circumstances. I've been seeing luck with that drop. Are you sure? Because, like, I get them pretty consistently. I enjoy electrocuting them all to death. has a kingdom key, but it's middle of the road and therefore useless. I need my keys to be either 9 or 0, no in between. Mingling worlds. I presume that gives me a room from another world. Kinda cool if so. I like how Thundercat actually makes the Game Boy lag. At least when there's a bunch of stuff on screen at once. The game lagging can still feel epic depending on what trigger set. Sadly these days, rather than the player doing shenanigans, it's usually because the developers didn't optimize it. I was gonna give as an example how I recently have been lagging my Minecraft world out pretty egregiously. But Minecraft is not a well-optimized game by any stretch, so... Not the best example of it being a player-driven thing. I suspect that I meant to get through most of these tours using Mingling Worlds. Well, who am I to say no? Oh, maybe it's enemies from different worlds. Oh, this one's intricate. Okay, hold on. It's gotta be specifically an 8-value blue. Specifically a 1-value red. Which I straight up do not have. Alright. Let's try and find one. If it is enemies from different worlds, I hope it's not Atlantica, as stuff being immune to my magic would kind of suck. I kind of hope it's not Hollow Bastion for the same reason. It looks about the same so far, though, so... There's another Mingling Worlds. And he's specifically a 1-value red. But the more stuff I collect along the way, the better. Just because it's useful in general. Oh, 2-value red. Almost. Six cost red. Or 6 value red, rather. Just 4 more levels and I can have 1,000 CP. Okay, that's a green, which is not useful. Well, not for this use anyway. In general, it's kind of useful. Free loot. That's not what I'm after. Alright, let's just move on and keep that in our memories. I was gonna say because I think I made it, I think I made everything here extinct anyway, so... Or higher. I sure am glad that I set up this Thunder Spam deck. It has very much sped things up. Oh. 6 cost red card. What's through here? New beginnings. 5 or higher, alright. 5 or lower. Anything blue. And this thingy. What's the matter? I feel kind of funny. I'm sure I don't know this place, but it's starting to feel real familiar. Think you must have been here before. That's just it. I never have. Maybe it's like with Namine. You forgot other stuff, so now you remember this place. No, it's different. With Namine, the memories of us together sort of came drifting back piece by piece. But here, there are no memories. Everything feels familiar, that's all. Does it now? A question then, Sora. Which is more real to you? Your memories of Namine or the familiarity you feel here? Namine, of course. Whatever I feel here is just some trick of yours. Haha. The memory's wiles are cruel. In its silence we forget, and in its perversion it binds our hearts firmly. I don't have time for your riddles. And recall that this place was made from another side of your memory. Yes, the other side of your heart knows this place, the other side remembers. You're wrong, I don't know this place, but your nobody does. If you remain bound by the chain of memories and refuse to believe your heart, then you may as well throw your heart away. You're no Keyblade master, no master of anything, just a slave to twisted memories. Just like my Riku, you're not fit to exist. Your Riku? You're so full of it. You're the one who changed Riku, aren't you? Every word you've said is a lie. I'd never throw away my heart. I'm gonna take you down and save Riku and Namine. That's what's in my heart. Oh, hold on. I want to send Tessican this guy. I think I am profoundly under-equipped for this, so I'm just going to let him kill me. He's gonna get around to it any minute now. He sure do be trying his best. This is like one of like the big leaders in like the big villainous organization. This is the threat level that we're dealing with. Oh, there we go. There we go. It took him a little bit of doing, but he eventually got it done. Let's see, I got like 200 spare CP. Can I add anything fun here? Going in Japar is fun. Bandit could be fun when I get to the point where I'm like spamming attacks. There we go. Let's see how that plays. I equipped that deck right. I didn't just edit it. Let's find out. Oh, this game really should have a skip cutscene button. I feel now a fraction of the pain that PS1 Kingdom Hearts 1 players felt. Or would that have been a PS2 game? I'm not actually sure. The original release, the one before Final Mix. I want to say that was PS2, actually. If it was PS1, Sora would have a much chunkier design. Okay, this is in fact my my Zantetsuken deck. As he's going to find out, much to his chagrin. What cards? Right, he just got all of his back. I just have to burn through his ethers, that's fine. I'm not gonna waste too much time trying to burn his entire deck now that I know that that's not really a thing that can happen. Unless pulling infinite zero cards out of his butt was just a Riku thing. Well, that was unfortunate. Oh, that's one way to waste two potions at once. This is fine. I will say, it doesn't quite feel right physically hitting somebody with a Zantetsuken and then them not taking like 1,000,000 damage. Like, I get that I'm destroying their cards, but like, I feel like I should be destroying their souls. Zantetsuken not hitting like a truck doesn't feel right. No elixir for you. No elixir for you. Alright, whatever, I'm making you spend twice as many, that's fine. I'm going to have to spend one of my own soon. I don't think I have enough red cards left. I've got enough left to do it twice exactly. Shoot, there was an elixir. Well, there goes all my progress. There goes one of my high potions. There goes another one of my high potions. I did not necessarily think this through. I'm in danger. Release me. Okay, that death wasn't deliberate. I like how he had a harder time killing me when I wasn't fighting back. The notion entertains me. Oh no, I gotta sit through this cutscene again. Will you interject? Sure. If you're gonna say I should probably be bonking him in between Santasticans, yes, you're right. True, I don't have to Santastican him. They're not premium cards, so as long as I don't slight them, I won't lose them or anything. Shoot. Get your slight wasted, nerd. Alright, ow. And he gets the elixir for free. Oh well. I should probably just pop, what's his face? Jafar? So that he can't interrupt me anymore. Get down from up there. Oh, there's his ether, so he gets his stuff back. I will say the one frame turnarounds when he's able to block me is a little annoying. Rude. Oh, shoot. Oh, there's his ether. There goes my ether. Alright, my deck has been reloaded. I could just completely mind blank through him using an ether. Now granted, an ether is just his magic cards, not his attack cards. On the other hand, he's kind of a magic guy, so... getting those back is kind of problematic for me. Let's try and stock back up on health, gosh darn it. I need to just keep one of these in the chamber at all times. Like, that is the rational point that I've been driven to, I feel like. I also noticed that he's got an auto life active. So presumably if I actually kill him, he'll just come right back to life unless I cancel it. So perhaps I should actually take an L, change my deck to include that one thing that cancels enemy cards. Unless there was one of these and I forgot which one it was. The repetitive shield blocking is a little bit rude. Just a little. Now the good thing about this is, even if he comes back to life, if all of his cards are gone, they should still be gone. I presume. He's only got the one elixir at this point. Nope, no elixir for you. Sure hope that's the end of those. Not seeing any more in his deck. I think I burned through his restoratives. Which is what I want to see. Presumably I cannot, burn through his stock of zeros. Assuming that he's like Riku in that front. But at least he's not teleporting around like Riku does, he's just guarding, which is arguably more annoying. of that corner, silly. Alright. Well, they do say that slow and steady wins the race, and this is slow if nothing else. Therefore, I'm halfway to victory if you think about it. Actually, not even halfway, because auto life. I sure hope it doesn't bring him back at full health. I could have sworn that one of my enemy cards canceled enemy cards. Which is a sentence for sure. I wonder, does that flickering mean that it's about to expire? Because I will take it if that's what's happening. Or maybe it's just been flickering this entire time and I didn't really parse it until I started staring at it. Only have the health bar. I can work with this. I really should have made better note of what my own cards did. What is Item Bracer? Actually, wasn't Item Bracer a passive from Kingdom Hearts that let you use items without being interrupted? I can see how that would be really annoying in his hands if I hadn't sent Tetsukin all of his stuff away. Dramatic zoom in. What I wouldn't give for a Mickey card to show up and be like, yeah, I took his shield away. Instead he's holding a grenade with a pin pulled now. You're welcome, Sora. I dread whatever fight stalling nonsense the final boss is gonna pull out on me. Because that seems to be how this game does things at this point. Which means Miku jumping around and this guy doing this stuff. There we go. Finally. And he's dead. Ooh, sight. Holy. Mega Ether, Mega Elixir, any item. Interesting. Ah, such strength even at the mercy of your memory. You are dangerous. You must be exterminated. Just pulls out a gun and shoots Sora. Fine, whatever. Just put Riku back the way he was. Put him back. Fool of a boy, even now you understand nothing. The Riku you speak of has but one fate, to sink into the emptiness of darkness. And you will share that fate, Sora. If you continue to seek the girl Namine, the shackles will tighten. You'll lose your heart and become Marluxia's pawn. Marluxia? Who's that, and what do they have to do with Nami? And he's dead. Axel. Hey, Sora, sorry to cut in right when he was getting to the juicy bits. Axel, why? You sure love to talk. It's about time you shut up. Forever. No, don't do it. We're nobody's Vexen. We got no one to be, but we still are. So, look on the bright side. You're off the hook. Now you can be nothing instead of just being nobody. Mercy, Axel. I don't want to go yet. Now you can tell me I don't respect my elders. And he's dead. What the? What are you people? Wish I knew the answer to that myself. Oh, that certainly happened. Oh, that's the entire world. Okay. That sure happened. Nice work, Axel. Good riddance to that blabbermouth. Marluxia, you used Vexen to test Sora's strength, right? Not just Sora's, yours too, Axel. We weren't sure if you had it in you to take out a fellow member of the organization. Well, I guess you did. You can join the big leagues now. With the three of us, taking over the organization will be child's play. I see, and that's where Sora comes in, right? Right. You also see Namine, so we give him what he wants. Rejoice, Namine. The hero you've longed for is nearly here. I'm very happy. Are you now? Well, in your fits of happiness, do you try not to do anything to hurt Sora's feelings? Am I clear? Yes. All you need to do is layer the memories one by one and bring his heart closer. Called it. Sora. Even if you come for me, what then? So it seems she's not entirely on board with this. Oh, there you are. Enough, Sora. You'll just hurt Namine if you go any further. I'll hurt you if you don't get out of my way. What, you still want to fight? Vexen's gone. You're free. Free? I'm protecting Namine from you because it's what my heart tells me to do. I promised her. I promised Namine I'd keep her safe. You did? There was a meteor shower one night when she and I were little. Namine got scared and said, what if a shooting star hits the islands? So I told her if a shooting star comes this way, I'll protect you, and then... You made a promise, and you had a toy sword. Yeah. How do you know about that? But that was my promise. On the night of the meteor shower, I said I'd protect her. Liar, it was just me and her. Oh yeah? Then how come she gave me her good luck charm? Her what? See? But where did you get that? Oh, I know what you're trying to pull. Huh? That's a fake. I've got the real one right here. What? Two of them? I'll teach you to make stuff up. Is it just me, or is Riku as a character just like the most obnoxious person? Because like across both games that I've played, he's just really, really obnoxious. At least he's gonna move up and teleporting now. Though not for long if I have anything to say about it. Oops. I will say at least he's not blocking. Oh, shoot. He just elixir twice. Alright, works for me. He wants to waste him like that? That's totally fine by me, actually. I say while wasting high potions. I just had a thought, if I waste a high potion, quote unquote, like if I use it but it doesn't actually go off, does it actually consume the card? Or can I get it back if I reload? I should probably test that at some point. Oh, there's an ether for him. I should restock my cards for reals soon. Heck, let's do it right now. Right now. Looks like I do not get the cards back, which is concerning. how to make this Sandhetscan count, because I'm only gonna get one shot at an Ether, which I should probably do while he's recharging, actually. I'll try and bait him into using his slide. There we go. There we go. Gotta be careful with how many Sandhetskins I use, because I'm getting no reloads at this point. I also didn't double check what my enemy cards actually did, which was probably a mistake. It's fine, I have eliminated most of what he can do to me. Wait, where'd you get that? No elixir for you. I do not want to see that elixir come out and actually accomplish something. I think what I might actually do is hold the Sandhetsukin specifically for if I see the elixir. So I don't think he's going to use any more slides, and I don't think any of his cards individually are worth cutting. Except for that elixir. Like that, yes. I almost missed my window. It's not that I needed the Sandhetsukin for the Ether, it's more with it in my slides, no matter what I'm in the middle of doing, I can cancel into it, I'm pretty sure. Well, not cancel into it, but like bust it out even if like my cursor's over here, and I don't have time to like cycle over here. You sure be poking me on my head. I just had a thought, if I actually managed to like defeat Riku with the Sandhetsukin, would it remove him from the game? Just like, Sora, Riku is dead, you cut his head off. Speaking of, there he goes. Mega Potion. I could've tried, I didn't trust it. Riku? Would you believe that he ran away, like, crying, like, meh? This is Namine's good luck charm, isn't it? It's just like the one that she gave me. How did he get this? He turned into a card. Well, alright then. Riku's good luck charm turned into a card? So you and Riku had the same memory? Legit, I'm just gonna double check what my enemy cards do. How do I... Never mind, I can't find the option to make the 12-tip sphere. Meh. Can't find the option to make the tooltips appear. Words. Somebody tell me what's going on here. Let's just keep going, okay? It doesn't matter anymore. Of course it matters. Don't you think it's weird that you and Riku have the exact same memory? You can't both be right. Oh, so I'm wrong, huh? Fine, don't believe me. That's not what Donald meant. We're just worried. Then let's hurry up and ask Namine. That should clear it up, right? Look, we don't have time to sit around, so let's go. Sora, what's happening to you? You're acting like Riku. What's that supposed to mean? You always get real touchy when it comes to Namine. Did you ever ask yourself why? Before we came to this castle, you didn't even know her name. Now she's all you think about. It doesn't make sense. Maybe you should stop and think things through? Think things through? You mean abandon her, is that it? No, but... Whatever, do what you want. Lay back, take a nap, I don't care. I hate dealing with people like this IRL. I'm going to find Namine. Sora? Like you'll say something like, oh, I like waffles, and they'll be like, oh, so you hate pancakes, is that right? You're all he's got left. If you don't stop this, no one will. But it's too late now. Oh, I don't think you should give up just yet. By the way, Namine, I don't see Marluxia around, do you? What are you trying to say? There's no one here to stop you. Do it right. And she's gone. Aha! Ha ha ha! Now this should be good. All the actors are in place. Now Sora, Namine, Riku, Marluxia, Larkshan. It's about time that you gave me one hell of a show. Looks like Axel's got his own thing going on. Sora, you shouldn't talk to Donald and Goofy like... Keep it to yourself. And no Donald and Goofy to talk to. But they're still in the party, portrait, so it's fine. Destiny Islands. I'm not going crazy, right? I know exactly where this is. Yeah, this is our island, where Namine and I used to play together. Hey! What's up, Sora? So, what you want to do today? Hey guys, am I glad to see you, but... what? We got food on our faces? Please, Waka, only you could be dumb enough to not notice food stuck to your face. Hey, whoa, that's hitting below the belt, yeah? I don't know, Waka. I think Selfie's on the mark. Oh, not you too, Titus. Titus, whatever. Oh yeah? You're Selfie, Waka, Titus, that's who you are. You hit your head? No, just thinking aloud. I know, you're thinking about her again. Oh, I get it. Yeah, he's a total zombie when she's on his mind. That would explain why he's acting all funny toward us. I bet you want us to take a hike so you two can be alone, huh? I guess? Alright, we'll disappear for a while. Go get her, cowboy. We'll try to be quiet while we spy on you. Hey, Sora's serious. Give the man some room. Huh? Just kidding. See you later, Sora. Ooh, Kingdom Key 9. Nice. You know, I never did find a key, not a key, I never did find a card to open that one reward door in, Twilight Town. Oh well.
Thunder! Thunder!
Not every world has a reward store. Good for them. But Twilight Town did have a reward store and I never found the card to open it.
Thunder! Thunder! Thunder!
I do have one now? No, I don't.
Thunder! Thunder! Ah!
Unless I'd have to go back to Twilight Town to open it.
Thunder!
Didn't I get one earlier? Pretty sure I didn't. Yeah, no, I don't have any.
Ha!
Actually opens this one.
Thunder! 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 Thunder!
I should probably use my, Hey, Darkfall. I should probably use my extra CP to increase the rank of the, elixirs in my deck. Judgment, that sounds like fun. Pretty sure that would be Ramuh's power. Or is he specifically Judgment Bolt and then Judgment is a different thing?
Thunder!
I don't think Ramuh's a thing that Sora can do, so probably not. It's probably like similar.
Thunder! Thunder! Thunder!
I don't think the system likes all these things bouncing around.
Thunder! 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 Freeze!
They really want me to be using Mingling Worlds. What might be up here? Death. Death is up here.
Thunder!
Or at least an attempt at it.
Thunder! 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 Fire! Freeze! Thunder! Thunder! Thunder!
Oh, the card trove has refunded itself. Always fun.
Ha!
Oh, Kingdom Key 3. Not useful. What might be through here? This is Key of Beginnings. Okay. Exactly 2, exactly 8. Key of Beginnings. I do have a Key of Rewards. Yeah, that was never in question. What I don't have is a card that can open the door. Hey Sora, what's the big rush? I know you. You're Riku. Gee, thanks for remembering me. It's been, what, a couple of hours? Never mind. Are you okay? Are you still under his control? What are you talking about? I get it. You must be the Riku from my memories. The Riku from my memories? Sounds like you're stuck in the land of make-believe. He literally is. I guess I kind of am. Huh? You're such a kid. How are you gonna take care of her if you act like that? So you know where she is? What's happening? How should I know? Whatever it is, it can't be good. I'm gonna go warn the others. Then I should go. I know. It's your job to look after her, so get going. Okay. I was aiming for the barrel, but I'll take that.
Thunder! 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 Thunder!
Living darkness. We're gonna take a 5-minute break here. Please use this time to refill your beverage, go to the bathroom. Anything that would take you about 5 minutes. I will see you shortly. I return. Immediately I get bamboozled by a mimic. Oh well. Four or higher. Another kingdom key. 7 or higher. Lots of calm bounties in Destiny Islands, it seems. Zero cost stop. I don't think I've actually cast a single gravity this whole time. There's the key to rewards. It's also quite expensive to go through, so I'm just gonna leave that for later.
Thunder! Thunder! Thunder!
That wasn't too bad with that wasn't too bad with the thunder, actually. What's through here? 50, wow. Glad I didn't burn all my cards on that reward door. Now there might be a boss fight in here, so let's see what I can accomplish. The island's breaking up. There was, in fact, a boss fight in here.
Here! Gotcha! Ha! Ha! Ha!
This thing certainly got a lot of— oh my goodness, that was my bones.
Heal!
I was gonna say, this guy certainly got a lot of health.
Ha! Ha!
And reaching him looks like it's going to be an ordeal. Meanwhile, I got plenty.
Heal! Ha! Ha! Ha!
I guess I gotta wait for him to punch the ground and then just stab him in the fist.
Here! Here! Heal! Heal! Here! Here! Heal!
So technically, if I actually did succeed at breaking all of his cards, I wouldn't be able to fight him, because I can't reach him up there. So it's a good thing that that didn't actually happen.
Gotcha! Heal! Heal! Here! 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 Here!
I'm starting to see a health bar that I recognize. This is fine. I'm kind of wondering where Mickey is in all of this. It's been a while since I've seen one of his cards. I saw one 2 worlds ago. Yeah, 2 whole worlds ago. It's a long time.
Heal!
I don't think that there's really a way to increase my DPS is the part that's kind of bugging me here.
Heal!
Kind of just doing the same thing on a loop now. Making a deck with stronger keyblades, that's not a thing in this game.
Heal! Heal! Here! Here!
As far as I can tell, all the stats in the Keyblade cards don't actually do anything. Like, they all seem to be doing exactly the same damage per spin to me. Right, I should see the green health bar soon, hopefully. Isn't this guy's name something like silly, like... I want to say it was like the name of a demon. Maybe I'm thinking of another Heartless. I might be thinking of that one demon from Fantasia. Yeah, I will say, This game at least isn't as tedious as Super Paper Mario.
Here. Here.
But it's definitely contending.
Heal. Here. 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 Heal. Heal.
Only a bar and a half of health left.
Here. Here.
The wind's also kind of really annoying.
Heal. Here. 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 Heal. Here. Heal. Here. Here.
I will say, to its credit, at least it does get rid of the ads when that attack ends.
Heal. Heal.
So I don't have to deal with them, Hello? There we go. I don't have to deal with them sticking around and, like, messing up my targeting and interrupting all my cards. Right, we're working to the final bar. And unlike what's his face, he doesn't have an auto light. Imagine if he cast auto life right before he lost.
Heal. Here. Here. Heal.
He's not Lubu. What is that, a Fate Extra reference?
Here. Here.
I vaguely remember having to blow Lubu up more than once. But I also remember that fight being over a lot faster than this one.
Here. Here.
I got stuck on Lubu for an hour, and I stand by what I said. How long a fight takes isn't just time on the clock, it's also the vibe. And vibes-wise, I feel like I've been doing this for a week.
Here. Heal.
I will say the upside to not Sentetsu getting is that I'm not running out of attack cards.
Here. Here.
And he's dead, finally. I like how I didn't even get a proper death animation, it was just like, okay, he's gone. Dark side. Oh, thank you for the head dance. Soon my CP will be 1,000. I have to keep her safe. Namine, can you hear me? Namine? Sora, you came for me. Namine, finally. I've been through so much just to see you. I could say the same. But I messed up. I really wanted to see you, but not like this. Not like what? I was alone for so long, I couldn't bear it anymore. So I beckoned your heart to lead you here. And I'm so glad you found me, but your heart, I had to... No, it's okay. I promise I'd protect you. That's why I came. Thank you. Oh, Sora, forgive me. I'm not supposed to be in this picture. She's right. Namine? That's not me. I'm not in your heart. I'm not in anyone's heart. I never have been. What are you saying, Namine? What's gotten into you? We were inseparable, but then I lost you. I came here so that I'd never lose you again. Was it really me you came for? Of course it was. I may have forgotten things in this castle, but not you. Look, you gave me this, didn't you? You still have it, my good luck charm. No, Sora, don't believe me. What am I supposed to do? Think, Sora, think of the person who's most special to you. See that faint glimmer way in the back of your heart? That's a piece of your memory, Sora. Call out to it. No matter how far away the light gets, your heart's voice will always reach it. But I already know who's most special to me. It's you, not... Who was MV? Who was that? I can't remember her, but she feels so familiar. Wait, what about Namine? Where did she go? Oathkeeper? Oh, that's another road cleared. Without help from Donald and Goofy. Namine. It's not you. The person most special to me. It's not you. No. The girl you care about, the one who's always with you. It's not me. It's her. But who is she? I can't think of her name. If she's so special to me, why can't I remember? It's because I went into your memories and... Let me explain this. Plain and simple, your memory's a train wreck. You're not the one who's... You're not the one who's meant to protect Namine. I am. But you and your messed up memories always get in the way. Oh boy, another Riku boss fight. My favorite. actually kind of hope that that interrupted the last one so that I get it back. Unless putting it into the slide at all ruined it. Sure hope it didn't. It throws me off just a little that use slide and cycle between the things you want to put into the slide are two different things. Getting stunned isn't fun. No, Riku, you were not allowed to do things. I see he's got a thing up called Slight Lock. I wonder if that means... Oh, I can put things into my slide just fine, so... Oh, it's not the right button. Oh well. I really don't want to see that elixir succeed. There shall be none of that. Does he have any... Damn, does he have any elixirs yet left? I think I saw 3 of them in his stack. Carving through those is gonna be annoying. At least they don't restore health to enemies. Then you get like a Pokemon champion situation where it's like you get them down to their last legs. And then it's like, yeah, Cynthia used the full restore on her Garchomp. And it's like, oh no. Anyway, I did just carve 2 of them in half, which pleases me. I'll try and keep an eye on how many he's got left. Might actually be just the one. Yeah, he's only got one elixir left. Nice. He's got no elixirs left. Now it's time for the box to play. I want to say it was Jafar that makes it so that I can't, Oh, Riku's doing his Riku thing. I will say it is kind of cool seeing all of his attempts to stop me bounce off of my attempts to kill him. I just had a thought, technically... Actually, never mind. I was gonna say, if I brought in that one thing that made it so that like all the ranks of my cards went up by 1, that would make all of my stuff outrank all of his stuff. But 0 cards outrank 1 cards, so it's fine. Yeah, what even does this one do? Wide attack? I guess so that one increased the range. I wonder if an elixir would bring back an enemy card. Yeah, I think the number over the name of my enemy card is the number of cards that it applies to. So I guess A is like... Oh, you know, it's probably attack cards, so that would mean that Slight Lock applies to spell cards for Riku. Let's see. Not actually sure what that one did. Maybe that one was break the enemy's card? I think it was break the enemy's card, yeah. Oh, and then this makes it so that, all of my cards hit like combo finishers. I wonder what the R stands for. I'll probably reload. There we go. I'm learning. You'll die eventually, of old age if nothing else. Unless this is one of those settings where, like, too much exposure to darkness makes you immortal or something like that. They say as if it's a bad thing. Being immortal sounds awesome. Luckily, as a kitsune, I am. I feel like all the people who are like, oh yeah, you know, living forever would suck, are just coping. If it's the kind where you can't die ever, then in like a few billion years it would really suck. But if it's just, oh, you don't die of old age, there are people who will try to spin that as a good thing, and it's like, what? No, it isn't. It's like, oh, if you had all the time in the world, you would waste all of it. It's like, yeah, so? I'll get around to my hobbies eventually, that's not a bad thing. Or like, oh, it makes you able to recognize what's precious to you in the here and now. It's like, I can do that without dying in the process, thanks. Riku is now a card. It's an upgrade. My CP is now 1000. Riku? Want some more? I want nothing less. Sora? Riku, why? Looks like I win. Stop, Riku, no. You're through, you fake. I said stop. Like the spell. Riku? 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 He's dead. What did you do? What did you do to Riku? She broke his heart. More like smashed it, really. Smashed? But that means he's... You're so much fun to watch. If it's Riku you're worried about, then worry no longer. Riku was never here. What do you mean? He's still on the other side of Door to Darkness. You want me to tell you? Gee, I don't know, I just hate spoilers. She just like me for real. Quit playing games. Okay. Well, now what do I do? Thank you for the hydration. I think I will ignore Sora's advice and keep playing games. Alright, have it your way. It'll kill you to hear this, but I can live with that. That thing lying there is a puppet that Vexen made, nothing more than a toy. It's laughable, really. I called you a fake, but it was the fabrication all along. A fake? A fake Riku? Yeah, we just put in like a voice box and a pull string that said, "Nuh-uh, Sora, it's your fault," and you fell for it. Fake in every way. It was only finished recently, and without any past, how could it remember anything? Its memories with Namine were planted, not real. All this time it's been picking fights with you over bogus memories. Isn't that right, Namine? Behind that cute little face, you do some awful things. No, not Namine. You are so stupid, don't you get it? Messing with people's memories is about all that she's good at. She steps into people's hearts and rearranges their memory. If she wants, she can even draw new memories of things that never happened. The girl you've been dying to protect is a manipulative witch who shackles people's hearts with phony memories. And my memory, everything I remember, it's lies, lies, all lies, an illusion Namine made. Binding you in the chains of your own memory was central to our trap. It makes me tingle to think how easily you were duped. This was our chance to make the Keyblade Master our puppet. We nearly had you. Ah, but that jerk Axel used Namine to wreck everything. He betrayed us. You'll pay. Don't. Excuse me, it's a little late to grow a conscience, witch. Last I checked, you're the one who got him into this mess. I know, but I should tell you that I am in an extremely foul mood. Thanks to you, all of our plans are toast. Child abuse. Namine. What? Do I detect distress? You don't even know her. Maybe not, but I still made a promise you literally factually did not. I promised Namine I'd keep her safe. Maybe my memories are fake, but they're still mine and I'm gonna be true to them. What an idiot. Yeah, I'm with Larkshan on this one. There is no promise, there never was. You are delusional. Must you insist on playing the hero? Oh, whatever, it's your funeral. Nighty-night, you sham. I appreciate the goofy body check. You have to go through us. Donald, Goofy, we came back? Of course we came back. We were worried about you. We weren't about to let you have all the fun yourself. Right, it's always been the three of us. And it always will be. Got it, Larksan? Have it your way. Thrice the pain for you means thrice the fun for me. She's got elixirs of her own. Does she not have a delightful personality? She reminds me of me, so yes. We do seem to be getting to the point of the game where my health is a little bit low. There shall be no elixirs from me, thank you very much. Nor any of that stuff. How many elixirs does she even have? I'll try and keep an eye on that. He's gonna reload now. I saw one elixir. Hey, there it is. Okay, so she shouldn't be able to stop that. She shouldn't be able to those were her cards anymore, the ones that I destroyed. Putting that into my slides was not what I wanted to do. That was a mistake even, one might say. Gotta be very careful not to put another healing into my slides. Then again, I do have an elixir, so I can pull it back if I need to. I like how we're just breaking each other back and forth. Oh, there goes that elixir. And she's got no cards, never mind, now she does. Despite all this, she still has quite a lot of health, which concerns me moderately. I think after blue is green, so I should get back to the health part that I'd like to see most. There it is. Again, it's been a little while since I've seen Mickey. Not that I really need him at this point, just... it's been a while. Ooh, Donald. I should probably just toss out a Centess again and then do triple Donald. Go forth, Matt. Donald. Donald, you accomplished nothing. Donald might heal her. True, he does heal people a lot. That's kind of his thing. Still a little bit mad at myself for ow, accidentally throwing away one of my heals. Alright, we're chewing through her final health bar. She's still chewing through my first. Unfortunately for me, it's my only. actually might be kind of cool. I wonder if there's like an RPG where like, as the playable character levels up, they get more health bars. Surely that's gotta be a thing. Is this one? I mean, my health has only stayed green this whole time, so it doesn't seem to be the case. I will say at least she's not blocking or spamming jumps. And she's dead. Larkson. Ooh, level. Ooh, sight. Ragnarok. Fire a stream of rays in front of you. The attack card's total value is 7 to 9. Interesting. No, I refuse to lose to a bunch of losers. I'm fading? No, this isn't the way I won't allow. And she's dead. And he's dead. Or she must be Namine. We're friends with Sora. I'm Goofy, I know, and this is Donald. Gee, how'd you know? Congratulations, Sora. You finally found your friend. Where to begin? Namine, I know it's not easy, but could you tell us what's going on? I don't mind. It's my fault after all. I took the people and memories in Sora's heart, and little by little replaced them with false memories that I made. So the promise Sora made to keep you safe? It was all a lie. Sora never promised me anything. Me being on the islands, that was a lie too. This is our first meeting. I was never Sora's friend. You were never anything more than that either. I'm sorry. In your true memories, I was never there. So you're the reason the rest of us lost our memories too. Can we ever get them back? Not right away. If we go to the 13th floor, I can fix everything. But Marluxia... Is that the person who made you tamper with our memories? He said he'd keep me locked away in his castle forever if I didn't obey. I've been alone for so long. So you did as you were told because you were lonely. She just liked me for real. I'm so sorry. Don't be. Please don't cry. I know, I don't have the right. That's not what I meant. Aw, thank you for the head pats. Look, I'm really not happy about you screwing around with my memories. But you know, I can't really get mad at you either. These memories you gave me, in my head I know that they're lies, but they still feel right. Like my promise. I said that I'd protect you, that I wouldn't make you cry. So if you cry now, I feel guilty, like I let you down somehow. So please, don't cry. Don't apologize. Until I get my memory back, smile, laugh, be happy. It's easier on me that way. Sora. Goofy, don't you think that he's laying it on a bit thick? I don't know. Sora's always like this around girls, yep. Shut up, you two. I thought you lost your memories. Friends don't forget things like that. Give me a break. Yeah? There, that's it. That's the Namine I remember. I used to really like it when you smiled. I mean, in my fake memory. But what I'm feeling now isn't fake, it's real. You're sweet, Sora. Well, we've still got work to do. Yeah, let's go get our memories back. Marlexia's up there, so you'd better stay here, Namine. Goofy's right. Would you look after Riku for me? We'll come get you after this is over. Okay. Be careful, Sora. I'll be fine, I promise. Anything they try to do, I'll just send Tetsukin in half. And he's dead. I wish I could help Riku. I'm the one who made him suffer. You're a nice guy. Why? It's a secret, Ahia. What if we had to face Axel and Marlexia? Okay, I feel like that's a decent enough break point for tonight. It's a little bit early, but I don't think I'm gonna get anything done in like 10 minutes, so I don't think I'm going to get anything done in the next 10 minutes. I think I mumbled my previous sentence. Anyway, about that? Oh, is this just a cutscene and then the game's over? It's a grind? Okay. Then yeah, definitely not for tonight. If I have time to grind off stream, may as well enter. Why would I grind off stream? Oh, whoops. I actually was aiming for Donald, but Sora ran up the stairs. Who was it? Who gave me this? Well, I guess we're doing this cutscene after all. It's no use. Take this. Answer to Donald. You can't remember? I only remember Namine. Do either of you remember anything? No, nothing. I think Goofy and I are supposed to be looking for somebody important too. But I can't remember. You know, I'm just a teeny weeny bit scared. Then let's make a promise. Huh? What you said back there got me thinking. It's easier to face the scary stuff when you got a promise to keep. So it's like, courage. That's a great idea, so what should we promise? That's easy. No matter what happens, even if we end up far apart or forget each other. All for one, one for all. And that's a promise. Trinity Limit, Key of Beginnings. Oh, Castle Oblivion, nice. I will say aesthetically this place is still very nice. That said, like I say, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it each and every time. Next scheduled stream is, Wednesday. I'm gonna probably be starting a Hollow Knight randomizer. Next time I'm playing Chain of Memories in particular is going to be on Friday. Hopefully I'll clear the game then. We'll see. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful night, and I hope to see you again. Good night.